What reminded me of that was Rockley's super chat. Rockley says, "What is the most vital state for Bernie to win in primary or the general?"
California. Yeah, California. Because it's huge. For the last God knows how long, California was towards the end of the primary. So nobody really cared what California ended up with because the primary was usually decided before you ever got to California. Well, this year, California has been moved up, if I'm not mistaken, to March, meaning it is one of the early states, and it is a massive, massive state. Perception matters. And if you get something like California and it puts you ahead in the delegate map, it makes it look like, oh my God, this person looks like they have a potential to win. If Sanders wins California, meaning his strategy for winning this may include getting California as he, and he credibly can do so. He has a massive Hispanic population. He's been able to build a coalition in this case. And polling-wise in California, he's doing fine. Like, he's positioned well to win California. He has a ton of people there. The catch is impeachment. That's the fucking catch. Because impeachment is going to force all of those senators to be stuck for those several weeks. And if I am not mistaken, that means they're going to be off the campaign trail at the point where they're leading up into Iowa. Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren, all three off the campaign trail. Buttigieg is going to be able to keep ticking about. But for the most part, those three are not going to be on board. So we don't know how that's necessarily going to affect them. I mean, the people who has the most support and so forth may do better in something like that as opposed to people who don't have as many people on the ground in the various states. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. That's going to be a wild card. I mean, that may hurt somebody like Warren depending on how much support she has. That may even hurt Kamala since she has less resources. But California is going to be extremely important. I mean, if he gets California, because in their heads, they're thinking, what are the states we need to win? That's, the way they're processing the map.
Yeah.
And so they may look and say, okay, we can lose South Carolina, Joe Biden's going to get that. We can lose Alabama, Joe Biden's going to get that. But we're not going to win those states anyway in the main election, so who gives a shit? But it matters in the primary. However, he may say, I can lose those states. I could get California. I could get Iowa. I can get New Hampshire. And I can create a certain degree of momentum as I move through. But even if I miss some of those southern states, these states give me my pathway to victory. So that could be the way they're looking at the delegate map.
Lori Mountain Gal Pal says they stole California from Bernie in 2016, and they will in 2020.
See, pessimism is not a survival trait. I say that all the time, but I do mean that.
I have something
you can't start a contest under this assumption that you're going to lose the contest, or under this assumption that there's going to be some deus machina for your opponent. He's winning it, and then all of a sudden something reaches out of the sky and just rips it from. I don't think you can start a contest in those terms. And beyond starting a contest in those terms, I think all hell would break loose if Bernie Sanders was cheated again. I just do. I think it's a hard... you get one cheat. You get one cheat where everybody knows that you cheated. I don't think you can do that multiple times. And while I think that they would prefer Trump over Sanders, in those cases, maybe you do get that cheat with this notion of, fine, fuck it, throw the table over, let Trump wins it again since we are not injured by that process, meaning the top class. But you can't start a contest with the assumption that you're going to be cheated in that contest. And just because I say pessimism is not a survival trait, it doesn't mean to not plan for that. It means that due diligence means that you have to accept that there's a potential for that. But you can't accept that as a God-given thing that is going to absolutely happen. It kills incentive and it kills motivation. Not to mention, you have the ability to win this contest, and you shouldn't think otherwise.
All right.
You have something to say?
I had, super chats. Imagine, while we're still in this conversation, and can you pull up Streamlabs too? Imagine Bull says, California was moved up right around the time Kamala was being sold to us.
Yes.
Hilariously infuriating.
It is, but Kamala Harris is not going to win California by any stretch of the imagination. And it's very possible that by moving it up, you just, why wouldn't California go to Sanders?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just seems like it would naturally be within the context of his wheelhouse. Not only the demographic population, but also politically, you would think that would be in his wheelhouse. And look, the last polls I've seen on California, he was doing well in California. If he wins California, that makes his pathway to victory a hell of a lot easier because California has a lot of delegates. Usually, it's out of the running. Like, usually, at the point where you get to California, it's all sold. Not anymore. California is active, and it's going to play a role in our politics.
Another super chat from Marcus Will says, if Bernie endorses Warren, I hope you raised enough money to speak to a shrink.
If Bernie endorses Warren, I'd be done. Like, I think I'd just do Star Trek and UFO videos.
Well, speaking of that,
that's all I do. And from that point on, I'd just be like, you know what? This broke me as a man. I'd probably cry on camera. For 5 minutes. Just weep openly. Just shamelessly weep. Unabashed. Not caring that the audience was watching. Be like 1,000 people watching. I wouldn't care. It would be, it'd just break me as a man.
And that would be the last political...
Yep.
Okay. If Bernie endorses Warren and Tulsi is still in the race, then I'm done with him forever. Stand with those who stand with you. I got you, Major. I saw. I just had to wait until this topic was over to go back to the last.
I'm not even considering something like that taking place. You must understand, in my head, there's no chance of loss. Now, I know that there's
no chance
small probability of loss.
Oh.
Things happen. But when I used to play chess, I used to play in a way where I just assume I will win. Now, my mom had to tell me one day, she says, Boo, you're not going to win every game, right? Now, that was a mind-blowing lesson to me. I'm like, fuck, she's right. And in fact, she was like, it's even a little, what the word she's a little, not asinine, but it was something like to even believe that you're going to win every game. Now, whether that's true or not is besides the point. And going into a contest, you kind of assume you win. Like, why would you assume otherwise? Why would you even play if you assume otherwise? Now, that said, yes, there's a possibility. But no, I am not considering any possibility of him backing Warren. Especially now, when it seems like she's sprained her ankle. Politically speaking. Well, she's fallen to third place. In fact, what I'm thinking about is what happens when Warren backs Sanders. Or if she would back Sanders. That's the interesting part. So you don't think she'd back Sanders if she was losing? We're right there then. If that's true, and she doesn't do that, then Warren was never on your side. I mean, she's working with... Because at that point,
I'm beginning to believe that.
Well, my hypothesis... I'm unclear if Warren is running for herself or she's running in coordination with the party. This notion of trying to sap his strength by trying to ape him and pulling people away from him.
I feel like she's pretty party aligned.
If that's true, then she won't support him.
Party conga.
But if that's not true, she will support him.
Party conga.
If she supports him, though, does he win outright?
I'm trying to think of who takes down a Sanders-Warren collab.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, many Warren supporters are like white libs who kind of are floating in the political space.
I think, there's a large percentage, like you said, floating between Warren and Sanders. And if you take down one of those in a amicable way...
Yes.
Then they're just going to be like, all right, I can get on board with Sanders.
I think some.
Didn't have a vagina.
I think many will go to Buttigieg. I think many will go to... Well, Harris is going to be out the race. But I think many will go to Buttigieg.
Right, that's why I said who else would take that up. I don't think that many people who are in line with... Well, maybe people who are in line with Sanders would go to Biden, but no, I don't think that's...
Yes. Well, they would go to Warren, believe it or not.
No, I'm saying Warren supporters. If Warren dropped out and supported Sanders, that's why I was like, I don't think many of her supporters would go to Biden.
Some will go to Buttigieg, some will go to Sanders, some will go to maybe somebody else in the race. So, yes. But if she backs him, is that a unification of the left? I've been thinking of it. So let me explain my thing. Hitting her relentlessly because I don't like her because she's been aping my guy. But does it weaken her to the point where her credibility is so shot that her backing your guy doesn't matter? Now, that's what I don't want. By the same token...
I don't think we're there.
It has to break her leg in order to make sure she can't compete. Because this is a contest. What? Am I wrong? Like, I'm just making the very basic point that you can't have her in a situation where she would ever compete or take votes away from your guy. And if she's in the race, she's doing that just by virtue of the way she's been running this race. So my feeling is you have to continuously hit her to make that distinction between her and him.
It's just the terminology. It's just like, you have to hit her. Somebody's got to break her legs.
Oh, my bad. Somebody needs to stop her.
Violent.
It is, yes, it's violent. And
I know you're not
I mean that entirely
literally.
politically. Yeah, I mean entirely politically. I just mean her capacity to run needs to be
Irene says
inhibited.
Warren supports Warren. That's kind of what I feel like.
Maybe. I mean, but if your name is Bernie Sanders, can you take that as being the case? Like, you know that the Democratic Party has a tendency to push people into various races. And if she was working with the party before, why wouldn't she be working with them now? And is it possible she's in this race in order to, again, sap his strength so Biden can exceed? Between
her not backing Standing Rock, between her talking to Hillary Clinton, I feel like she's in the conga line.
Yeah, I think she's in party line.
All right, so Imagine Bull says Bernie marching for MLK,
yes,
and then integrating voters into a burning building twice would be painful irony.
It would break me as a man if Sanders backed Warren in this race. It would kill me.
Would you just change this to a UFO channel?
Yes.
I'd be down for that.
It just, because we UFOs all the time.
Could I dress up like an alien, or would that be too much?
That'd be too much.
Oh.
That'd be too much.
I don't know if I'm down for that then. All right, hold on.